This video is brought to you by Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community for creative people where millions get to explore together. Skillshare's got thousands of classes. As artists, you're going to love discovering topics in fine art, illustration, and more. Lots of Skillshare classes are under 60 minutes. With short lessons, you can fit them into the busiest of schedules. Since YouTube is ArtProf's primary platform to deliver our content, I decided to watch YouTube Thumbnail Masterclass and Practical Workshop. This class provided fundamental concepts for me to consider, such as how a YouTube thumbnail and title function together as a team. This class was also terrific because it provided many concrete examples to illustrate these approaches to YouTube thumbnails and titles. Skillshare is also super affordable, and annual subscription is less than $10 a month. The first 1,000 people to click the link in our YouTube video description below will get a free trial of Skillshare Premium. Hello, I'm Professor Lieu. Welcome to our live stream. Today, I'm going to be doing part 3 of a figure sculpture sketch in plastiline clay. If you would like to grow as an artist and you can't afford an art class, we've got everything you need here at ArtProf: critiques, tutorials, and professional development. If you guys missed the first 2 parts, we have part 1, which was building up the form of the figure. We have part 2, which was starting to articulate some of the medium-sized forms. And today, I'm going to be trying to really subdivide some of these bigger forms and start to articulate some of these little pockets in the sculpture. These are called undercuts, where you really cut underneath a certain form. So let me show you guys how that works, because a lot of these little points in the sculpture right now, they're looking very mushy. And I want to get a certain amount of tension in some of these areas. And so a lot of that is going in and cutting underneath the form. Although I see a little piece of muscle under there. Yeah. I'm just squinting at it because I have not looked at the sculpture for a while. And I'm trying to evaluate, okay, where's the emergency? What is the part of the sculpture that needs the most work? Fundamentally, I really need to get this contact point between the figure and, what is this? A stool? I mean, mine doesn't look like a stool. It looks like that in the Robert Mapplethorpe image. But I think I really got to work on the spot here because I want to show that gravity, the feeling that that backside is really pushed into that surface. And I'll evaluate it from all 3 sides, because even now, worked on it for a while, but don't ever tell yourself that you don't need to keep rotating, because you do. Throughout the whole process, you guys need to be moving around, looking at the multiple reference photos, and never staying on one side for too long. And actually, you know what would help here? I noticed that there's an angle here on the back side that I did not really capture that well. And, you know, that actually, I think, is going to help a lot, showing the tension of the backside. Oh, yeah, I need to do it here, too. It's getting a little bit too bulgy. So you guys will find that even though I'm a lot closer to finishing than I was a ways back, you still have to be pretty architectural about the process, because this is one of those points where it's like it really can just turn to mush really fast. And that's what is hard about sculpture, is when things look too flimsy, it can start to get a little bit awkward. And I'm going to use a lot of this tool. Does everybody see this? This is like a ribbon tool, and it has 2 sides. And these are really good when you want to just carve a minimal amount, like not a huge amount. That knife I was using before is when I really want to like cut a plane, but this is if you just want to like shave off a couple spots. It's really nice for that. Actually, my favorite tool is this one. This is the same thing. It's a ribbon tool, but does everybody see it's got these little wires wrapped around it? I love this tool, but I can't use it at the scale. It works a lot better. So what it does, I'll just show you guys really briefly, is it creates this really nice texture, which I love, but at a small scale, it's not very helpful. Like it actually makes it too textured. On a bigger scale, it's fine. By the way, hello, everybody. We have a lot of people here today. Welcome, Stella, who says, this is my first time I have the chance to watch the stream live. Well, that's very exciting. Tell me in the chat, is this your first time here? Maybe it's your 50th time here. Some of you guys, it's probably more than that. And Sandarine says, I think we need squinting themed art prof merch. I know, because I mean, if you guys logged the amount of time I spend squinting during these live streams, it's probably something ridiculous. Like 20% of the stream is just me squinting, but so much of this process is looking and observing, because if you can't see it, you can't sculpt it. Same thing with drawing. It's about recognizing those forms. Actually, somebody posted on Instagram today. It was a really nice post. I can't remember who it was. I'm sorry. I just can't remember everybody's names at this point, but they were watching part 2 of my anatomy stream, which talks a lot about the relationship between the major masses, because a lot of people think that the human figure is stacked, like a bunch of blocks, one on top of another, but it's not. There's a lot of angles that happen. And this person said in their post, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't see these relationships before, because they're so helpful. And now I feel like I really understand it. And I was like thinking to myself, that stuff is hard to see. Like, unless somebody really points out those angles to you, it's not easy to see. So it's like when you see it, you're like, duh. But then before somebody really points it out to you, it actually is very hard to see that type of thing. So if you guys have struggled to see some of these structural things, that is way harder than seeing an eyelash. I mean, eyelash is very clear cut. People know it's there. They know to look for it. It's a detail. And so the temptation to work on it is a lot higher. But structural things like the orientation of the pelvis compared to the orientation of the rib cage, that stuff is not obvious. So it feels obvious once you've seen it, but that's really it. See, I'm trying to do the scapula here. Like, really what I'm looking for is, everybody see this shape? If I draw that, remember, pork chops. That's what I think about when it comes to scapula. And I will say, it's really nice to do this after drawing yesterday with Lauren. I mean, I love drawing, but it's so nice to just switch up media. Sometimes people say to me, oh, well, I'm getting sort of stagnated and I'm frustrated with my work, and everybody has that feeling. And for me, switching media is such a simple way to switch it up. And you're still making work, but you're in a different place. You're speaking another language. And I like that. So any of you guys who have had trouble feeling like, oh man, I'm just not making any progress, just switch materials. It's really nice. This part, I'm trying to figure out. I think it's too wide. Like I really want, this is the external oblique, okay? If you guys remember, that's love handles. And I feel like my external oblique is not pronounced enough. Here too, it's hard because sometimes you do it on one side, it looks fine. And then you switch it to the other side, you're like, oh man, that looks bad. So I'm gonna try to nail it on the back area, although now it looks wonky on this view. Let's see what's going on. VB is asking, can you have this clay sitting without it hardening? Yes. This clay is called plastiline, and it's oil-based. There's no water involved. And you could sit it out here for 5 years. It'll be fine. I mean, some of this clay I've had longer than that. This clay goes all the way back to graduate school. Sheesh, this clay's probably like 18 years old. Oh my God, you guys, I'm old. And so it's great. It's really good for home studios. You don't have to worry about dust. You don't have to worry about it drying out. It's so nice. So if you guys are a beginner and you don't feel like you want to deal with the keeping it wet and all that stuff, or air dry clay, which dries out not that fast, but it's enough that it can put stress on you if you're not super experienced. Yeah, RB Dick says, it's so fun doing sculpture. It helps relax your mind. I know. It's so, just touching the clay feels good. There's something about that tactile experience that I think is so wonderful. Sketchpaw says, nice to see your face moving again. I know, you guys, my computer hates me. It's like, my webcam hates me. OBS hates me. Like, oh, just everything crapped out this week. Something happened to my laptop. I don't know what. I have to have my husband troubleshoot it because he's my in-house tech support. He has not had a chance to look at it yet, but I think my USB ports are busted, which makes me really upset because, oh my God, I really hope I don't have to get a new computer. Getting a new computer is really stressful. Although my computer is not, and there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, the computer's fine, but it's not that old. I guess, when did I get it? I think I got it in 2016. I got it the year oh no, you know when I got it? I got it when we ran the Kickstarter campaign. And I remember I had this brick of a computer that was just terrible. And so the Kickstarter enabled me to purchase that computer, but I have not replaced it since then. I mean, that's not that old. That's like 5 years. But I don't know. I guess in terms of computer years, it is sort of old. Okay, let's really see. Here's an undercut. Does everybody see this? So it's when you like push in and then pull out. That's an undercut. And the reason why undercuts are important is they dramatize the form. But another thing is that if you do end up making a cast, undercuts can be a pain, because if you lose them in the mold, it can really mess up your piece, which is not fun. So I just remember, because of the casting part, when I was in graduate school and I was doing a lot of casting, I was always really conscious of like, okay, what are the undercuts like? Are they going to drive me crazy? Or you just had to be very conscious of where they were so that in the casting process, you wouldn't get screwed. All right, let's show a little bit more of this angle. Like this. So I need to show this form here. This is where the anatomy is so helpful, because you know what? There's a couple sections in the Mapplethorpe image where it's so dark because of the shadow that I can't see it. Like, there's no form at all. And so with the anatomy knowledge I have, I can say, well, okay, about here, I should be seeing the latissimus dorsi. About here, I should be seeing the external oblique. And so that's where the anatomy helps, because you don't have to get it accurate, but you can say like, oh, well, I would anticipate. Probably I'm going to see something like that there. Okay, that's better, but I do really think I need to work on that head. I was sort of ignoring it. Are you guys ever in denial? You're like, I know it's not good, but maybe if I leave it alone, it will resolve itself. Nope. That usually makes it worse. I don't condone. You guys try that. Yeah, so do you guys see how now we're starting to get more specific with the forms? Although, geez, like every time I think I'm okay, I see something else that I think could be better. Because I really, really don't want this to get mushy. That's my pet peeve, is mushy figurative sculptures. Like, oftentimes people really get, like, they want to smooth everything to death. And that's fine if you have a good sense of structure. But if you bypass the structural stuff, you really pay for it later. It's like not pretty. Okay. Zell is asking, which book do you recommend for studying anatomy? I recommend Artistic Anatomy by Dr. Paul Richer. And the reason I recommend it is that it's very simple. It's some diagrams. There's a ton of text, but honestly, I've never read it. It's really dense. It's a very old textbook. It's from like the, I don't know, 19th century. It's really, really old. But what I like about it is that it's really simple. And there's a lot of these like super fancy anatomy books now. They're like in full color. There's all these diagrams. And I find those books so confusing. It's too much information. Anatomy does not have to be that complicated. And I think maybe people think they're smart by making it so complicated, but it's not. It should not be. You make it that complicated, it's really hard to process. Woo Hyuk says, can you paint over the sculpture once it's done? You can't for this type of clay. If it were air dry clay, that would be fine. This is plastiline, in which case it never dries. And so if I did paint acrylic on this and then I bumped it, it would mess up the acrylic. So yeah, this is not clay you use when you want something permanent. Like if I want something permanent, I'm going to want to use air dry, or I would have to make a silicone mold out of this and then cast it in resin or something like that. It's a pain though. Oh my God. Silicone really stresses me out. I can't really, because you can ruin this. You can lose everything in the process. If you screw up, you are so screwed. Like I have seen it happen. I've seen people in graduate school do a bad job on some part of the casting process. Like this poor guy in my graduate school class, he did not mix his plaster properly. And what happened is the plaster did not set, which is not good, because if it never sets, it doesn't get hard. And then your mold turns to tapioca pudding. I felt so bad for him because he spent so long on this clay sculpture and he lost the mold and the sculpture. It was gone. Like he had to toss the whole thing. And oh my God, I just felt for the guy. That was really terrible. So yeah, when I learned casting, I was so lucky I had a classmate who was so good at it. And he taught me everything I know. He taught me more than the graduate school teachers, who honestly, some of them were not nice. And if it weren't for him, I don't know that I would have the knowledge that I have. But he taught me this brilliant way to mix plaster that I'd never seen before. And I learned how to do it in a bunch of places. And I got really good at casting because of him, because he was there to support me. If he wasn't there, I would have been so screwed. That's why, you guys, you're going to learn more from your classmates than you will from your teachers. And I think that's a good thing. I think sometimes people underestimate how much you can learn from each other. Tell me in the chat, because we have a lot of people here who are really active on the Discord, which is phenomenal. How many of you guys here have seen an artwork by somebody else in the Discord? Not even the art alongs, just anywhere. In a crit channel, in the show and tell channel, whatever. How many of you guys have seen an artwork that made you learn something? That you looked at that artwork and you went, oh my God, whoa, they did this cool thing. And now I understand this concept a lot better. Who here has had that experience? I'm going to suspect that a lot of you have. Because there's something about seeing other people's work that is so informative. No teacher's going to give you that. It's impossible. You have to get that from your classmates. All right, here, you guys, that's so sweet. Tensor fasciolata. It's so clear. Like, look at that. Look at the Robert Mapplethorpe photo. It's really good. Like, guys, I'm holding a tensor fasciolata in my hand. It doesn't get deeper than that. Oh, and let's build up a little more external oblique here, because I think that could use a little bit more of a touch. Yeah, that's getting better. Okay. Oh man, I really have to do the face I don't want to, but I can't put it off any longer. Like if I do, that's going to be really bad. And I do have to guess a lot because I did this funny thing with the face where I moved it. It's not in the same place that it is in the Mapplethorpe image, but that's okay. I mean, sometimes that's what you got to do. Because I get a lot of people on YouTube who make comments and they say things like, your nose is a quarter of an inch higher than you drew it. And I'm like, I don't think that matters. I really don't think that is the difference. Because to me, the stuff that matters is much more fundamental than that. Like something that cosmetic, that's not going to make or break your drawing. It's more, okay, is the gesture working? Stylistically, what are you trying to do? Something more fundamental. Like people don't realize that at a certain degree, like that stuff just doesn't matter. It's so cosmetic. If anything's going to really shift the progress, it's like, okay, well, how are you addressing the structure? Did you capture the personality? That stuff is way more important than, is this eyelash 2 millimeters too far? Like, that's not important, guys. Bicycle Lady says, you're going to do part 2 on the oil stick peacock. I like the progress you made on it. Probably not. I mean, I'll be honest, guys, I was not happy with my peacock drawing. And this is so dumb, but honestly, I kept looking at Lauren's after the stream. I was like, oh, hers is so good. It made me feel kind of crappy about myself. And so right now, I don't really feel like returning to that drawing. Although maybe I'm just chickening out. Who knows? For now, we don't have plans, but if some of you guys like really want us to, I mean, we totally will. Tell us in the Discord. We do have a channel that is called Art Prof Suggestions. So if you guys have like a topic you want us to do, or you want part 3 of whatever, just tell us in there. That's the best place. I mean, you can make a YouTube comment too, whatever. But that's a place where I return to, like when I'm looking for ideas or what to program for the next month. I oftentimes hop into that channel to see what people are asking for, and I'll oftentimes program based on that channel. So I mean, not everything, but a lot of it does come from that channel. So definitely think about posting in there. We need something that resembles a nasal bone. Oh, gosh, it looks like Bert from Bert and Ernie. You guys remember that episode where Ernie stole Bert's nose? That was hilarious. Oh my God, I love that episode. I don't know if everybody grew up on Sesame Street. I did. Sesame Street was my generation. I don't know if the new generation really, I don't know. I think it's weird though that Sesame Street is on HBO. I'm like, that's weird from a fundamental point of view. I'm like, I don't know if I like that. I mean, I understand. I'd rather Sesame Street be around than disappear, which I think it was the issue. I think it was the funding issue that they had, which, trust me, I understand. But it's just strange. It's like, really? Sesame Street on HBO? This is a little weird. I'm not really used to that. Although, I don't know, PBS needs to step it up, in my opinion. They have not really changed with the times. I mean, BBC did produce Sherlock. That was a good move. Although, you guys, I'm like really sad. Like, why? Why did that? Like, that show was so good. Like, why would you not make more on that? There's so many people like me who are obsessed with that show. How could you not? Like, why? Like, how could you destroy such a... Well, I don't know. Maybe they'll have like a remake in a few years. But I didn't wait that long. That makes me sad. HT Pokepack says, what do you think about hyperrealism? I know it's a hot topic because while some love the details, others just claim, why not just take a photograph? It really depends. I mean, I definitely have seen work where I felt that the hyperrealism was very relevant, and I felt that it was important as far as trying to get an idea across. I think what I'm not a fan of is when people just do it to do it. Like, oh, look at this hyper. I'm like, I don't care. Like, it's got to be, for me, it has to be integrated with the image, because I think oftentimes for a lot of people, it's just like, whoa, it looks like a photo. And I'm like, okay, well, where are you going to go beyond that? Because my favorite artwork is artwork that makes me think. And it's not just one of those like, boom, it's cool. It's like, boom, it's cool, but whoa, I'm now seeing this. And I didn't see this before. So that every time I look at that painting, I see something new. And there is a painting at the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston, Daughters of Edward Darley Boyd, and it's by John Singer Sargent. And it's a brilliant painting. I've seen it so many times. Sheesh, I've probably seen that painting like at least 15 times. But every time I see that painting, there's something new. I've never looked at that painting and thought, oh yeah, been there, done that. Never. I always see something different. And that's what I think a lot of the hyper realistic work I've seen doesn't do that. It's sort of like, oh, it looks like a photo. Okay, done. Like, there's no reason for me to linger. And I want to have a reason to linger. I want to have a reason to look at it and discover something new. We were talking during the NFT stream that Lauren and I did. I think it was a couple days ago. And we were talking about, okay, well, if you own an NFT, how do you display it? And is that the same thing as owning a physical painting? And here's the thing, you guys. What I really like about owning physical artwork, and this has nothing to do with NFTs. And like, I don't know that I would print out an NFT and put it on my wall. I probably would do something else with it. I don't know. I don't own one, so I'm not sure what I would do. But I have artwork in my house that every time I look at it, I see something different. I have a print in my house by Andrew Raftery, who's my mentor. He's my former printmaking professor from RISD. And he's been so important to me as an artist. He's the reason I'm still here. Like, oh, geez, I had so many times when I just wanted to bag it. And he helped me a lot. So anyway, I did some casting work for him a couple of years ago for one of his engraving series. And I ended up getting one of his prints. He gave it to me, and I love it. It's one of my most prized pieces of artwork that I own. It's a huge engraving. It's probably, I don't know, 22 by 30 inches. It's gigantic for a print. Prints are not that big usually. Usually they're fairly small because it's just very difficult to make a print that big just from like a technique point of view. But anyway, I live with this print. I've had it for many, many years. And you know something? Every time I look at that print, like every time I take time to glance at it, there's something new. There's this one part of the painting, of the engraving. There's a painting hanging on the wall in the engraving. And I remember I looked at it one day and I was like, oh my God, he engraved the hooks that are on that painting. And I never saw that detail before. I lived with that print for so many years. And I was like, oh my God, like that's what I want. I want work that makes me do that. And when you find those like little hidden, I guess it's sort of like an Easter egg, like you would find in a video game or something, but not a video game. And I love that. I love that feeling that every time I look at that piece, there is something new for me to discover. And that's what I want. And if I don't have that, that's fine. I mean, there's certain artworks that are not meant for that type of contemplation. Some pieces are supposed to be sort of like, okay, in your face, really confrontational. I mean, that's not my personal taste. That's not what I'm into. But for me, that's what a lot of hyper realistic work does that I'm just not that into. It just doesn't sustain itself beyond the initial, ooh, it looks like a photo. Because really, how many of those do we need to see, you guys? Like, really, do we need that many of those in the world? Like that tutorial I did with Kathy Speranza on drawing roses in pencil and graphite. She said that she was very hesitant about doing rose paintings because she said that traditionally speaking, there have been a lot of bad rose flower paintings in the past, and she didn't want to, I suppose, contribute to that tradition. And it's sort of like that. Like there's enough bad flower paintings in the world. Like I don't think we need to encourage that any further. So what I'm doing right now, I am trying to create planes on the hand. You guys have heard me talk about that in a lot of drawing streams, but here it's so visible. So see here, this is a plane, and that is a plane, and that is a plane. And that's the thing you can see in sculpture that is not very clear when it comes to drawing. And actually, I really should turn to the other side so I can see the angle. Oh, that's a pain. It's not very visible from the other side. What am I going to do about that? I guess I just have to invent it. That's okay. I do that with sculpture sometimes. Yeah, I think this plane, it needs to be a little more flat. And you guys will notice I'm not doing fingers. Fingers are not going to help you right now. You have to get the planes. Like I'm showing, there's another plane here. This is like the joints of the hands. Okay. So what I'm putting in here is like that. Because a lot of people, I think one of the reasons people don't like to do hands is that they look at hands like, oh my God, fingers. What do I do? And I get it. That's hard. But once you start seeing fingers, you're not going to see the planes. You have to say, okay, that's a plane, that's a plane, and that's a plane. So on this hand, there are 3 planes. Don't look at fingers. That's really hard. Miriam is asking, if we don't have plastiline where we live, is there another type of clay you'd recommend for beginners? It's tricky because the brands of clay fluctuate so much. And what I have found is that a lot of art supplies are not the same country to country. I mean, when I went to China and I taught a workshop, it really was a problem because there were so many art supplies that I heavily rely on in the US, and we just couldn't get it. And oftentimes a lot of the stuff that they would buy for us was wrong. Like I really needed Bristol board, and they got me this like shiny cardboard, which was terrible. It did not work. So it's an issue. I think if you go to a different country, it's just really hard to find the same stuff. I mean, you might be able to find some brand of like kids clay, because oftentimes they have clay that's made for elementary school kids, and that usually does not dry out. I mean, in the US, there's a certain clay for kids. It's called Model Magic, and Crayola makes it. I can't stand it. I hate it. Like, Model Magic to me, for an adult who's making work like this, it's like sculpting with a marshmallow. It's weird. It does not have the right consistency that I like. So I don't like that particular type. But yeah, I'm sorry. It's so hard because just the brands don't translate from country to country. They're just so different. Like even Canada, which I thought, oh, because it's near the US, maybe they'll have similar stuff, but they did not. I was in Vancouver and it was so different than what we have in the US. W315 says, is that tool a half of a pair of scissors? No, this tool, it's called a fettling knife, and you can get it. Usually it comes in a ceramic clay toolkit. And if you guys want information about the art supplies, just go down to the YouTube video description below. And I've listed the names of all the supplies and also Amazon affiliate links. So you guys can get all that information there. Seven Angelic says, I wonder if you added it all up, which subject matter would be the most frequent in art? Would it be flowers or people? I think people, for sure. I mean, there's no civilization anywhere on the planet Earth that did not do some version of the human figure. I mean, like even the people in the Middle Ages who had the wonkiest figures. Like, I love medieval. Well, actually, W315, I know you're working on that illuminated manuscript because I saw it in the Patreon chat. Have not responded yet, but I will. And some of the medieval, oh my God, they're hilarious. They're so weird. It's like, have you guys never seen a person before? No, I mean, it's fine. Like, I think it's great to articulate things in such a stylized manner. It's just hilarious. Like, they're so wonky and funny. It cracks me up. I mean, they really look like doodles that somebody in high school is like drawing during math class to like make fun of their teacher. Like, I just think they're so funny. All right, let me move this up actually so you guys can see that foot. I like how it looks like they have a pig foot right now. I don't know. Maybe it's like a goat foot. Isn't it when they usually show the devil is usually like a satyr or something? Something like that. Sandarine says, I can't wait for another water mixable oils portrait session. Yes, I definitely want to get there. But you know what's really funny is every month when we do the programming for the live streams, I'm always like, okay, finally, we'll get to this thing that I've been meaning to get to. And then it's like I blink and the schedule's full. And I'm like, oh, we didn't fit in this, and this. It's hard because sometimes it depends on people's schedules, trying to balance the schedules of 6 very busy people, and that's tricky. Sometimes it's a matter of, well, it would be nice to follow up this stream with this, and maybe this is a little bit more relevant. So it can be very tricky to fit everything in. Or sometimes I'm like, oh, I really want Alex to do this, and he's not available that day. And so, yeah, as much as we try to get everything in, oftentimes I'm like, oh man, we didn't get this in. And so it just gets bumped to the next month. And so that's why it's interesting that we stream every day. And I'll tell you, I oftentimes feel like it's not enough, which is ridiculous because it's plenty and it keeps us very busy. But as far as like getting the content out as quickly as I'd like to, it never is fast enough. But I'm a very impatient person, so I don't think I'm the best measure of that. Same thing here with the foot. I'm trying to show the planes. Like the foot, it sort of like dips downwards and then it comes back up for the toes. And actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to zoom in. So give me 1 second. You guys can just look at this thumbnail because it's so entertaining, isn't it? And I'm going to switch to a different scene so that you guys can see better a close-up of what's going on. There. Okay, now you guys will really get to see what's happening in terms of the feet, because I really have to spend time here. I mean, this is like not happening in this one area. The feet are so flat here. Like they really dip in. Does everybody see that? I hope this view is better. Tell me if this, I know the view's not like super in focus, but I'm just hoping, because what I'm doing right now, it's so small. I hope that helps. Tell me if you like this detail shot better, or if you want me to go back to the scene where you can see the whole figure as opposed to just a piece of the figure. Just want to make sure you guys can see better. I mean, that's the one thing about live streams that I find difficult is I can't go in and do those like super close in shots. Like when we did that pen and ink tutorial with Song Kang, oh my God, I worked so hard to get those super, super close in shots. They were a pain because the focus was very challenging at that scale. It was really hard. And I went through just hours of blurry footage to find the footage that actually stayed in focus. It was really, really hard. But the footage we did get was excellent. And honestly, her work would look terrible if you did not have that. So I felt that in that case, that was definitely worth it. But on the live streams, it's like we just cannot get that level of quality without the DSLR, without the editing and everything. But hopefully this is enough for you guys. Oh, do I need? Oh, I think I need to like cut under the foot. The foot is, whoa. Okay, hang on. Let's see. Watch this, guys. Ready? I'm going to show you. I'm going to cut under the foot, and we're going to. What am I doing? We're going to pull it up. What did I just do? Oh, I don't know if that's going to work. I might make it just come down. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not sure. I'm still a little on the fence about that. Yeah, Builder D, it's a little bit unfocused because, you guys, I'm telling you, the universe hates me this week. I'm on my daughter's computer right now because my other computer, like I said, I think it's the USB ports are busted. So I can't control the focus because I don't know why. Okay, view is great. Okay, good. Okay. I know, like, it makes me cry because the DSLR edited videos do look so good. And it's like, you just can't get that level of quality in a live stream. You just never will. I mean, maybe someday, but not right now. Okay, do you guys see this? See this foot? I'm going to actually cut this way. So that way you can see that the foot there sticks out more. We're going to flatten that like that. Okay, we need to dig in a little more because you see these feet, these toes, they like bend, okay? Everybody thinks they're flat, but it's like it goes in and then the toes bend out. They're sort of like loaves of bread. And they also get flatter the closer you get to the pinky toe. So actually, I should cut a little bit more going this way. So I want to get that like bend. Yeah, I got to get over to this side. I guess the issue is that I'm not sculpting that same draped seat that the figure is on. I'm doing something a little bit different. So I'm just going to make it up, whatever. It's fine. But it does change the way the feet are done. Oh, I got too much ankle here. And actually, that's good because that'll make the hands more pronounced because I know the hands here, they're a little bit flat. A lot of carving. Jeez. I want to say thank you to Ankari. Thank you so much for the super sticker. We greatly appreciate your support. You guys are so phenomenal as a community because let me tell you, this quote business model that I came up with where we produce content and have expenses but don't have any revenue, like, it's not a good one. I don't recommend it. It's not very profitable. It's not profitable at all. And my hope is that we get enough donations that I will never have to set up a paywall. Never. I don't want to. Refuse. But there is this issue of operating expenses, paying staff, paying for ongoing monthly fees, that type of thing, that is important. And so when you guys contribute, that's what you're doing. You're making it sure we stay up and running because I want to. I really, really, really want to. But there is the reality of having expenses that don't go away. And we have not quite hit where we need to be on Patreon. I know some people might look at our Patreon and go, wow, you guys make a lot of. I'm like, no. Like, right now, our first Patreon goal to like break even is $5,000 a month. We're at about 3,000, and it's not even close right now. So keep that in mind. I'm going to zoom out because I feel like I feel like you guys need to see more of the figure in context. So let me switch to that scene. And here we go. Rin Jeff says, what about grants? Oh God, don't even get me started on the grants. What's really hard about the grants is that most of them are for nonprofit organizations. We can't afford to be a nonprofit. It's so expensive to be a nonprofit, you guys. So expensive. And I don't have that. Or the grants are for like white cube gallery artists, like the Guggenheim is an artist grant. And that's like an individual artist grant for like fine art museum stuff. And so we don't fit there. But we also do not fit in film either, because a lot of the film grants are like for people who are documentary filmmakers or narrative film or something. And so it's like our stuff does not, we don't fit in any of those categories. And so it's a problem, because I'm like, I don't know where we would apply. And then people say, well, what about art education grants? And I'm like, oh my God, the art education grants, it's like, fill out all this and maybe we'll give you $200. It's like, it's not even worth my time, because $200 is not going to go very far for us. So the grants are an issue. And then I've had a lot of people call Bill Gates. I'm like, dude, give me his number. I will be right there. So if anybody has his number, let me know. But the thing is, it's like a lot of those foundations, they're not interested in art education. They want math. They want STEM. They want, I mean, I'm not saying global health is not important. It is. It's just they don't fund art education. Art education is not sexy. It's just not, people don't want to show off that they gave to art education. They want to show off that they gave to a symphony orchestra. They want to show off that they gave to the Met or the Opera House in New York, or they want to be on the board of MoMA. It's like, that's all very glamorous, but art education, not that glamorous. Does not get anybody on the front page of the New York Times for supporting art education. Sandrine, thank you so much for the super sticker. We greatly appreciate your support. You guys are phenomenal. The way that this community comes through for us, it keeps us alive. It really does, you guys. Every contribution matters. It does not matter the size of that contribution. It all goes towards what we're doing. A lot of people said to me, well, wow, Lauren and Alex are doing draw-alongs now. This is awesome. And I'm like, do you guys know why? Because we had somebody who donated funds for that equipment. That was directly a result of somebody's donation. So that's what happens. When you guys donate, we're able to change our content. We're able to bring you more. A lot of it's about just staying alive, but like that was a game changer for us. It was so huge, because like so many people would say like, oh, I really want Alex to do gouache. I want Lauren to, I'm like, guys, we don't have the equipment. So when we got the equipment, we were like, oh my God, this is such a big deal. So yeah, that's why that stuff really matters, guys. Colleen is asking, do you bake plastiline clay after? You don't. If you did, it would melt. That's polymer clay. So if you're in the US, brands like Sculpting or Fimo, those are polymer clays, and those you would bake. But I don't know. I don't like polymer clay for this type of sculpture because it's floppy. And the floppiness for me gets in the way of me really showing the form in a substantial way. I mean, I definitely have seen people do really cool stuff with polymer clay, but for this type of modeling, it's not great. I mean, maybe there's somebody out there who's really good at it, but I have not really seen that. And also, if you want to make a sculpture that's an armature, it's even more problematic, because oftentimes what will happen is the clay will actually crack once you bake it. And so then it's like, oh, there's no point in even having the armature. Oh, geez, way too much foot on this side. What am I doing? That's so funny. Oh, maybe that's the lateral malleolus that's here. Anyway, I just noticed that it was like way too wide at the top. And actually, is that the same thing? I think, oh yeah. It was way too wide at the top. That was the issue. So here it's like mega undercut. I'm undercutting a lot underneath that hand. And that's going to help the hand pop too. So that's the thing, you guys. Keep in mind, when you're sculpting, everything affects everything else. Like, don't tell yourself that you're only working on the foot, because you're not. You're working on the foot, and while you're working on the foot, you're affecting the hands. Like, the hands have changed how they look because of what I'm doing with the feet. Okay, I'm not going to sculpt individual toes, but I do want to show, well, I don't know, maybe I will. I'll take that back. So much of teaching is, yeah, no, I changed my mind. Which I know as a student is really annoying because you're like, come on, you said this week. And I'm like, I changed my mind. I got to make the toes shorter. When you guys are doing toes, you got to be really conscious of how they change in length, because I think oftentimes people don't do that and they end up with, I don't know, it just looks like a bunch of loaves of bread at a bakery. And this toe really goes up. I mean, this is hard because this is where like your fingers just are not helpful. You really have to have a tool. And I'm not going to get super detailed about the toes, but I just want to suggest that there's something there. I want to show the subdivision, although it does get really messy. And, you know, I could spend forever on doing these toes, and a lot of people do. I don't think I have enough toes. Oops, there are 4. Let's squeeze these over here and add another toe. You guys see this? I'm holding a toe. Here we go. There, now we have 5. That's way better. I'm gonna point these down and push that one up. Okay, that's a little bit less horrible looking. Oh, sorry, Blue Wolf. I'll get rid of the banner. My fault. Forgot that I had that up there. Stella's asking, are there some perks to being a Patreon supporter? Thinking about donating, there are lots of perks. So you get your name at the end of the video description. We have the slide. But honestly, the biggest perk, I think, if you become a top Patreon supporter, is being in the voice channel. Who here's in the voice channel? Tell people how much fun we have in there. Because I know a lot of people want a voice channel for the Discord, and I would love to have a voice channel that everybody can be a part of, but we just don't have the budgeting and staff to do that. But basically what happens in the voice channel is I have voice sessions, and it's like having a class, and I'm on video, everybody else is on audio. It's just easier that way. And, you know, some people want to protect their privacy and anonymity. And so what you do is you come in and you talk about whatever you want to talk about. Some people come in and they're like, oh, I have this piece, I'd like you to critique it. And other people are like, oh, well, I'm having trouble selling my work. Do you have tips for that? And I have actually a lot of people come in there and they're like, I don't want to talk about anything. I just want to listen. That's great. That's wonderful, because then they get to hear other people's critiques. We oftentimes talk about other things like professional development, or sometimes people will like mention an artist who they're interested in. And it's great because, you know, something you would think in a situation like that people would just come get their critique and leave, but they don't. So many people come into that Patreon and they just want to listen. It's like a free art class. And if I could have it my way, I would have a voice session after every stream and do a critique of everybody's stuff, but we don't have the budget for that. So yeah, that's probably the biggest perk. And then the other thing is that we do have a text channel that accompanies the voice channel. And that is a channel, people post stuff all the time. So in between voice sessions, you post your stuff, and I do prioritize that channel. I generally stay out of the critique channels in the Discord, because if I don't, my whole day disappears. And I love you guys, but I would never get anything done if I was in there because I can't help myself. So that's probably the biggest perk, is just being able to get that like ongoing feedback, not just from me, but from the mods, from Deepti and Jordan. They're in there. Deepti and Jordan also do voice sessions. That's the biggest perk, I think. And a lot of people, once they join that, they're like, oh my God, I had no idea how awesome this was. I'm like, yeah, like a lot of people, they don't know until they're actually in there. So that's the thing. And if you guys want a further explanation, Deepti, me, and Hannah, who is Bowser's in the Discord, we did a stream on the Discord a couple of days ago, just explaining how it works. And so we did talk about the Patreon chat when we were in that stream. So yeah, definitely check that out. And then there's other stuff. The other cool thing is you get snail mail from me. I send snail mail in the artwork that nobody sees. It's just for the Patreon people, and you get it in the mail. Look, it's snail mail. That's not a bill. It's nice. It's great. Ooh, this toe got too short. I have to pull that out. I feel like I'm getting a little picky with these toes, but they're bothering me. They look so bad. And I just really want them to not look like bleh. They're really stubby. They look like Flintstone toes. I think I have to carve a little bit more dramatically to make it. Oh, that looks bad. Okay, maybe not that much. That looked terrible. There we go. Okay, and let's keep carving. I did not realize how gigantic the feet got. I think I was just working on it and not thinking about how far it was getting. So now I'm just going in and carving those undercuts. Mayahika says, can international Patreon supporters also get snail mail? Yes. Anywhere in the world you are, you can get snail mail. And it's a postcard that I send out. And in addition to the artwork, I also write a letter to you guys, handwritten, and I tell you what's going on in my life. And again, the whole thing about the Patreon stuff is that it's exclusive. You won't see that. Whatever drawing I send you, whatever letter I send you, you're not going to see it anywhere else. It's only for Patreon people. So that's a big difference too. So yeah, if you guys want to join, I would love to add a fourth column to our slideshow because it all matters, you guys. Okay, I don't like how this is like drawn. Do you guys see that? Like a lot of people, I think they tend to do this. They tend to just like draw a line like that. But the thing is, that's not helpful. Like that's not really thinking about form. I really like this sculpture tool because it can make those lines, but it also has this like rounded shape on the side, and it makes it so much easier to see things. See, I lost the plane on the toes. So I'm going to flatten that out, and I'm going to flatten this out too, so the planes come back, and then that feels a little bit better. Okay, I know the feet are not done. There's, oh, whoa, that looks terrible. Okay, we have to fix that. That's gonna drive me crazy. Oh man, that looks terrible. What am I doing? Okay, let's, yeah, I totally like, oh, look at that toe. It's huge. It looks like the big toe. It's not. It's supposed to be the pinky toe. Oh shoot, and I keep losing the plane. Fred Flintstone. Anybody here watch the Flintstones when they were kids? That show was so dumb. I'm sorry. It was so silly. Like, I mean, maybe that's why it was good. It was just really silly when you think about it. You know what show really was annoying that I watched way too much of? Oh, why did I watch The Jetsons? That was such a stupid show. It was so dumb, and I watched so much of it. I guess because we didn't have Netflix when I was a kid. So it's like, oh, well, it's on. I guess that's what I'm watching. Like, you did not have any control over what you watched half the time. It was just like, oh, well, that's on. I guess that's what I'm watching. Or you guys remember MTV, where you would like watch MTV for like 5 hours, hoping they would play that El DeBarge song that you like really wanted to hear, or like calling the radio to like request the song. Oh my God, it's hilarious. Okay. I gotta jump. You know what? I gotta give this person figures. I can't leave them. I can't have the mitten hands. That's not going to work so well. Yes, bicycle lady, 3 channels and PBS. PBS. Oh man. I mean, that's why I watched Bob Ross, because it was like he was on. What else are you going to do? Although I do remember, I mean, I thought it was magic when I was a kid. I remember it was the palette knife that felt like magic. I mean, yeah, the brush was cool too, but I think that for me, when I was a kid, the palette knife was such a strange tool. Like you'd never really seen it. It's not a very common tool. And I remember he would just like scrape 3 scrapes and like, boom, there's a tree. And I remember thinking, wow, like being blown away. Like I thought it was so magical. Like it really felt like a magic trick. And I guess I don't have a lot of memories about him talking, although I know for a lot of people that's the appeal, is his voice and how he talks about things. But for me, it was like that palette knife, just making those forms. It was like, oh my God, amazing. I know, it's like you think about how easy it is to watch stuff now. It's like, I want to watch that Michael Jackson video. Oh, there it is. Boom, we got it. Like, okay. See this? Tibia, patella. We have not gone over this yet, but this is the gastrocnemius. That's your calf muscle. Okay, so now let's really get into this patella. That's where the ribbon tool is so helpful. And then here's the other edge of the patella. I want to make sure, because this muscle here, the side of the calf muscle, I don't want it to be wider than the kneecap. So maybe if I shave down the side of the kneecap, maybe that will help. And then of course the articulation between the 2 knees is very important. So on this side, this is a little bit of the tibia, and what's that muscle again? Oh, I'm totally blanking. Is it tibialis anterior? I think it is. There's a muscle here. I have to look it up. I will confess, you guys, that before I do the anatomy streams, I'm like reviewing the Richet. I'm like, oh yeah. Although they're my favorites. I'm never going to forget tensor fascia lata. But once we get into like the leg stuff, I'm like, rectus femoris, vastus lataris. Oh no, I'm pretty good with rectus femoris. It's tibialis anterior. I'm pretty sure that's the one that I'm forgetting. And then there are 2 in the back upper thigh that I always mix up. And I'm blanking on their names right now, but I never can remember which is which. But you know, it doesn't matter. You know, it's not like I'm becoming a knee surgeon. It's fine. Okay, that's giving the knees a little bit more structure. Like really, it's in the shin. Like you need the shin to work. If the shin isn't working, that's not going to work. A little too much tibialis anterior there. Maybe shave in the side. Like you guys see that? That's still pretty architectural looking. Like I'm still not really smoothing it out. I mean, I don't even know how much I'll smooth it out. Maybe I won't at all. It's hard to tell until I've really worked on it some more. But actually, this is the gastrocnemius. Let me see if I can articulate that a little bit better, because it's looking a little funky. Oh, and you know what else I need to show is this compression here. You guys see, here's another undercut. Okay, so there's this compression here. All right, yeah, I definitely, so let me cut another plane coming down that way. And then I'm going to cut here to really show the contrast between the thigh and this calf muscle, gastrocnemius. So let's give that more of a plane. Oh, and I'm like missing clay here. That's weird. I need to put clay here. Yeah, that's like a little hole in the leg. It's very funny looking. Let's try that. Is that better? Is that? I don't make robot sounds like Alex. I think I make whiny sounds like, ugh. Alex is like, do. Like, he's so like pleasant to be around. You guys should have seen when Alex and I were shooting the gouache tutorial, the one where we go to the cemetery and he does the Sleepy Hollow illustration. He was like held hostage at my house. Like he was at my house for like, oh God, I think he was at my house for like a week. And I think I had him painting like 4 days straight with like no break. And oh man, he worked so hard on that gouache painting. And I mean, it turned out great. He did an amazing job. But we just did this thing where I just would like roll the camera and he would just paint. And then like every half an hour I'd come in and like check the footage. And it was funny. He was like my little painting hostage. Yeah. That's way better. Okay. No, I want to make this more dramatic because I'm trying to show the compression of the muscle. Oh, although this muscle's now a little bit too, it's not popping out enough. I think I need to build up a little bit more on that side. Sorry, my thing keeps moving. Put it here so you guys can see a little bit better. Colleen says, I'm going through the anatomy series now, and it's nice seeing it being discussed in a different medium. I know, it's refreshing, isn't it? Because as much as I like 2D stuff, sometimes you just can't say it in the same way. Because the whole thing about muscles is they wrap. Like this muscle, external oblique, like it starts here, but then it's over here as well. So it's a very different situation. Tibialis anterior, I think you're sticking out too much. Oh yeah, you are sticking out too much. Here, cut back. Come on, go back there. There you go. See, don't you feel better when you have a little bit more structure? Oh, it's still too mushy at the bottom. See, it's hard to get structure in the legs. It can be very challenging. Colleen is asking, are you relying more on your eyes looking at the photo or more on your understanding of how muscles interact with the anatomy? That's a great question. I would say in the beginning, definitely more in the photo because there just is a lot that you have to fill in. But the thing is, now that I've worked on this more, the photo is becoming less and less helpful. Because if you guys look at the photo, do you see how there's some where, like the back view, half of it is just black, like you can't see anything. And so that view is not helpful at this stage. It was helpful in the beginning when I was like trying to block out the major forms, but now it's not helpful at all. So I would say in the beginning, more the photo. As I get further along, I invent more and I look at the photo less and less. And that's the case with drawing too. Like if I was drawing this, I probably would be doing the same thing. And of course, it takes a long time to build up that anatomical knowledge. It's not fast. And it takes a lot of observation. Like I spent so much time with live models before I even had an opportunity to start to make this stuff up. And I know it's hard for people. Not everybody has access to live drawing sessions. That's a problem for a lot of people, but anytime you can, I highly recommend it because nothing substitutes that experience. Just like really, really seeing the form. It's huge. Okay. I think this leg is actually starting to come together down here. I just want to cut, like there's this little spot behind the heel that I think could be better. Oh, and actually the heel looks better now too, right? It's not better. I'm having so much fun, guys. I just need you to all know that. Because, you know when you just feel grouchy? And then you do this and it just, oh my God, it feels so good. That's why, you know, we were having this conversation the other day, and there was stuff about it in Artist Wellness in the Discord. People were talking about, you know, feeling frustrated or embarrassed that, oh God, the work's not as good as I want it to be. And I think somebody said this, which was like, yeah, I mean, sometimes your work doesn't come out the way you want it to, but just focus on the experience. Like, did you have fun carving the clay? Did you have fun holding the brush? Because there's no wasted time, you guys. I know it feels like it because you're like, oh, I didn't get the results I wanted, but you're logging time with the material, you're spending time really engaging, and that is definitely worth it. That will never be a waste of your time, you guys. I want to give a shout out to Meisuko, who says professional artists need to know so many areas. I think it's fun to do it that way. Not everybody does. And I definitely have some colleagues who are phenomenal at one thing. And that's awesome. It's not for me, but some people really are good at that, specializing in that area. Lisa says, may ask my hubby to make a taller turntable to help the viewing angle. I mean, ideally, what I would have is a sculpture stand that has wheels on it, and I would be wheeling around. Can't really do that in my office, but that's the best situation. This is actually very limited. I actually like standing more when I'm sculpting, but that's not always an option. For most people, it's probably not. I mean, how many people have sculpture studio in their house? Most of us do not. Oh, I don't have any tensor fasciolata here. Sheesh. Oh, I'm so embarrassed. Oh my God, and there's no delta. Sheesh. I've been ignoring the side, and now I'm paying the price. So guys, don't ignore sections of your sculpture. You will pay the price. I mean, that's why I always tell people, I'm like, you got to keep moving. Don't stay on one view for too long. And it's the same thing with drawing, actually. Like with drawing, I tell people, listen, don't stay in one area for too long. Like you want to keep moving around. You want to not finish one part and ignore the rest. Oh, you guys, look at this. 7th cervical vertebrae. Oh my God, it's right there. It's right. Oh my God, it's so good. Look at this. Okay, here it is. Wait a second. 7th cervical vertebrae. It's not always that clear. But if you guys do this, take your chin and touch your pit of the neck, and then touch the back of your neck. You can feel a little bone sticking out, and that is the 7th cervical vertebrae. And it's literally what it sounds like. If you count 7 vertebrae from the top, that is the 7th cervical vertebrae. So that's what you're looking at. See, it's so good. Thank you, Robert Mapplethorpe. You made my life really easy. Some people, it's like a mountain. But on this model, I mean, it's definitely there, but it's not super. Oh man, I did not put enough scapula here. This comes way lower than I had it. Is that better? Oh, and I'm missing this indentation. Oh, you know why? I don't have this indentation because on the back photo view, it's black. There's shadows. So I was missing, this whole form was hidden in the black shadow of the photo. You guys see that? That's why that photo was not helping me. Yeah, so again, that's a demonstration, the limitation of a photo. It did not provide the information I needed to bulk up this form. I mean, people think the photograph is everything, but it's not. There's a huge limit to what you can do. And so that's why filling in with anatomical knowledge is super helpful. I mean, I don't think everybody needs to study anatomy. If it's not relevant to what you want to do, that's fine. I mean, I definitely have had people say like, oh, do I really have to learn this? I'm like, no. Like, it's only if you're into it, yes, go ahead. But nobody says that like, oh, if you want to be an artist, you have to study anatomy. Like, I think anatomy is not helpful sometimes. Sometimes if it's not something you're into, it's like, ugh, why do you want to force yourself to do that? Okay, we got to give this person, oh shoot, there's more of a plane here. See this? It really like goes down. Yeah, from this, oh, you guys. And I think the butt crease needs to go over this way. Nah, maybe it's more like that. It's hard because again, from the back view photo, you don't see anything in the crease of the backside. It's all in shadow. It's really hard. Actually, but I do know this is the sacral triangle. And this is like a little plane that comes in there. So I'm going to just infer that, okay, well, about here, I should technically see the plane of the sacral triangle. You guys thought you were getting a sculpture lesson. You're getting an anatomy lesson today. Lisa says, I'm hooked on sculpture now. I love everything about it. Only tried this because of the art prof stream. Oh, that's awesome, Lisa. Well, I don't know if you guys know, but Lisa makes amazing stop motion animations. They're in the Discord. And so, Lisa, to me, it makes sense that you're into the sculpture because I think because of the stop motion stuff, I think you do think three-dimensionally. So it's a very natural extension. This is wonderful, what Tiago's saying. I think that every work that we do is an amazing lesson. It can be an amazing experience. Yeah. All right. Tensor fasciolata, here I come. Oh, wait, but the heel. I keep getting distracted. It's really hard. I mean, as much as I feel like this sculpture has come a long way, I still feel like it's not close to being done. I mean, what I might do is do as much as I can today, and then maybe I'll finish it another time. I mean, that's why I ended up doing this instead of the self-portrait palette knife, because I was looking at that painting. I was sort of babysitting it. It was sitting on my table all week. And I was like, yeah, I could do more, but I don't know that people would benefit that much. Like, I don't know that I would be adding that much new information to the lesson. And so I sort of said, it's all right. I felt like the sculpture needed more. Or maybe I just wanted to sculpt. Maybe that's part of it for selfish reasons. Okay, so see this? We're going to like really cut into here. And then there's our tensor fasciolata. Yay! Yay, yay, yay. Oh, I'm so excited. I love being a big dork. You guys know it's awesome. Those of you in high school, if you're having a good time, that's great. I'm happy for you. But if you're not, life gets so much better after high school. You just don't care. You're like, I'm a big dork and I don't care. I'm going to own it. Like, I remember being in high school and feeling self-conscious about bands or music that I liked because I was like, oh, it's not cool to like this band. It's like, you like this trashy music, but you don't want anybody to know. I still feel that way now. Like, I was like listening to really trashy music the other day. And I was like, I don't think I want anyone to know that I listen to this music. It's just like too embarrassing. Do you guys have like a secret? Who here has like a secret playlist? Like, you don't want anyone to know what's on that? Like, I will confess. I'm sorry if you guys like her music, but I was like listening to Billie Eilish all week. I'm like, what is wrong with me? I don't know. I was on this kick. You know what it was? It's because we did that crit clash on Billie Eilish's music video, My Future. And so I was sort of listening to her because of that. Oh man, this got all funky. I was not keeping an eye on that back, and now this is all weird. So we did that. was like, hey, this is kind of catchy. I was listening to Billie Eilish all week. And I think it was, forget if it was Kat. I was talking to one of the staff about our dorky, more embarrassing music choices. Kat was like, yeah, I listened to Rihanna. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Billie Eilish is fine. But I don't know. She's not Tchaikovsky. I'm sorry. I'm a big classical music nerd, okay? I'm not saying classical music is better. I just really like classical music. And I do think it's cool that Billie Eilish became popular in a less conventional pop music way. I don't remember what the story was, but it's like a lot of the stuff she made was just with her brother at home. And I was like, that's kind of awesome. I kind of like that. It's sort of disruptive to the way the music industry has been. And actually, there's a really cool New York Times article. They were talking about how streaming has completely changed the structure of pop music. Because in the 80s, the structure of pop music, there was like, I don't remember what the sequence is, but it's like intro, chorus, and is very predictable. Like every single pop song followed that. But then I guess because of streaming, they have to hook you sooner because people listen to music in a very different way now. And so it's not the same structure. I think it's more open, it's less predictable. And so they used a Billie Eilish song to illustrate that point. And it was very interesting. It was like, wow, yeah, that is not like the Bangles in the 80s. It was really, really different. And I don't know, I was sort of fascinated by that. So they had a Billie Eilish song and, you know, one thing led to another. Yes. I don't know, but then I was like listening to the Grease soundtrack. And then I was listening to Dirty Dancing. I was like, what am I doing? You know what it is? It's because if I listen to something like really good that I think is really good, I want to pay attention to it. And when I'm in work mode, I'm not really listening that actively. I'm listening, but I'm not like listening. You know what I mean? Ooh, you guys, tricep action. Check that out. Okay, we also have some of the elbow here, which is a very important bony landmark. And a little bit of bicep here. Let's just get that. Oh, and this deltoid is too bulgy. Let's make it have more of a plane. I think that's better. Ananin says, if I could go back to high school, I wouldn't hide anything from people. It's admirable, inspiring when people show that they are unique. Oh, yeah, but it's like nobody wants to be unique in high school. Like you just don't want to be yourself because, I mean, a lot of it's just feeling self-conscious. Maya Hika says, I love classical music. People call me weird for it. I'm just keeping it to myself from my classmates. That's fine. You don't need people to know all that stuff. I mean, I guess I never had worries about liking classical music because I played in an orchestra. And so that's what we were doing. And also, you're with other kids your age, and you are all dorks, and you all play classical music. So it's like it wasn't an issue for me because I was lucky enough to have that situation. But yeah, I would imagine in your sort of typical high school situation, it's not that cool. Okay, I'm doing a pass on the arms. And actually, I'm seeing this bulge around the deltoid. This is the deltoid, if you guys are wondering. So I'm trying to get more of an indentation there. Oh, shoot, and I'm missing... I'm just going to warn you guys, this might be a long stream because I'm like having fun. So it might be a little while, but up to you guys. And what I like about teaching online, I don't have to worry about grades. I don't have to take attendance. You guys come when you want to be here. Nobody's making you take a required class that you don't care about. I have definitely taught classes like that where, I mean, at RISD, I used to teach freshman drawing, and that was a required class. So sometimes I get students who would say like, oh, well, I'm going into architecture. There's no reason for me to learn how to draw the human figure. I mean, I think there is, but sometimes it's like it takes a while for people to see that. And sometimes it can be a real uphill battle because you have to like convince people like why. You have to justify why that class is important. And a lot of them do come around. Like I definitely had students who were like, wow, I didn't think this was helpful, but at first, but now I see. But it is really nice. It's like all of you guys are here because you want to be here, and you're not here because you want to grade. You're not here because you want to put it on your resume. You're here because you really want to be here. And that is amazing, in my opinion. Like I definitely have had students, they did not care about learning. It was all about the grade. How do I get the A? What do I have to do to get the A? I'm like, could you please just like have fun learning? Like, I mean, I understand people care about grades. That's important. But, you know, if you're in college, for the most part, nobody's ever asked me for my transcript at a job interview, ever. They just want to know, did you get the degree? I mean, if you have a degree, depends on the job. Obviously, some jobs care, some jobs don't. But nobody cares what you got second semester, senior year. It does not matter. I know for some students, it's like, well, it matters to me because it's like motivational. And, you know, that's fine if you're doing it for yourself. But it's like, I don't think that should come at the expense of the experience of learning. I think that's frustrating to see people just doing it so they can like put it on paper. And I'm like, putting it on paper is really not that exciting. Like the exciting part is like getting to learn all this stuff. It's like, woo, like I love learning all that stuff. Ooh, you guys, look at this. See this? Sternocleidomastoid. You see that? It's right here. It's not super clear cut on this model, but I'm just going to put a little indentation so you guys can sort of start to see that. M87020 says, I'm not even an art student. I just stumbled upon this channel and fell in love. You know what? I'll tell you, that to me is the biggest compliment, because, I mean, art school students or people, you know, who like really want to do it, that's awesome. But especially on my Taiwan tutorial, I get a lot of people who are like, oh, I'm not an artist, but I really like this. And I'm like, that's awesome. Because I do long term, I would like Art Prof to have a reach that goes beyond practicing artists. I mean, it's sort of like, you know, how people like Bob Ross, even when they're not practicing artists, even though practicing artists really like him. I think this is too bulgy. I got to look at the front view. I think this deltoid is too big. Oh, no, it's not too big. I'm missing form up here. Yeah, there was like a little hole there. Oh, it is sticking out too much here, though. Okay, I need a little more of a plane. Is that better? Oh, even more here. It's funny. It looked fine from that side, but now that I'm putting it here, I can see how much it stuck out. That was way too much. Tiago says, I'm so excited to show you a new series I'm planning. I'm thinking to submit for a critique. You should. And if you guys want information on that, that is on artprof.org. Just go to the critiques page, and you guys will see information there on how to submit your stuff. Julia says, do you think having a 3D piece, a sculpture, and a portfolio would help? I'm going to assume you're talking about art school. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, absolutely. I mean, so few people have 3D work in an art school portfolio. So that alone gets you to stand out. Now, that said, though, I wouldn't put in 3D work that's bad just to have 3D work. Like, it should be 3D work that you've spent time on, that you're invested in. But yeah, that really stands out. Like when I see 3D work, I'm like, whoa, This person has 3D work. It's not very common. We did a critique, I believe it was me and Kat, fairly recently. It was Mari Ebisu. She had a lot of 3D stuff. She had like a copper piece. She had a sandstone carving. Like, I was like blown away by how much 3D work she had. And a lot of it was very good. It was like really well constructed. Like, she had very good craftsmanship. So yeah, I mean, you can try that. And we have a lot of 3D tutorials, not just this. Like, we have a tutorial on how to make a sculpture out of cardboard. We have a balsa carving tutorial. Book binding is always really nice. I mean, you can even illustrate the book when you're finished. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of 3D stuff you can do. It's just, I think for a lot of high school students, because if you don't have the experience or somebody to guide you, it's not always that clear. And you do need to know about tools. Like, if you don't have the right tools, you don't have the right materials, it can be a nightmare. I mean, half the time when I see students doing 3D work, it's not that they're not good at the 3D work, it's that they got the wrong tool. Like, they have this tool that's making their life like unnecessarily difficult, or they're using this type of cardboard that is like impossible or whatever. So yeah. So again, that's where like you need the instruction. That's not your fault. I think this brow got a little, trying to make it a little bit less straight, trying to get it a little rounder. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, here I really have to invent, because I totally changed it up. That ear feels so big. I feel like I'd rather it be too small than too big. Otherwise, it's like it really looks strange. Just trying to get the angle of the neck a little bit better. Felix says, it's the same thing with visual art and music. Sometimes you feel the same excitement from a traditional masterpiece as an abstract piece. I feel abstract art is the equivalent to pop and indie. That's a cool comparison. I really like that, Felix. Although I think the whole thing about where does abstraction fit, it sort of depends on where you're talking. Because, I mean, we were talking about that Beeple thing with Christie's. Christie's is a different world than even say the galleries, like auction houses. It's not the same rhythm. It's not the same audience. And so abstraction has a different place if you're in an auction house versus if you're in like a New York City, Chelsea gallery. That's a whole other scene in itself. Okay, I'm just trying to show the scapula. I need an undercut here. Let's just sharpen that little section. And that helps quite a bit. I don't like this neck though. I feel like it feels a little stiff. I wonder if it's too thin. I'm not sure. Let me just take away a little. And maybe I need a little tension here. So I'm just going to take the ribbon tool. I'm just going to cut into that neck so we have a little bit more of a suggestion of a muscle. I don't know if that's going to help. We'll have to see. Sandarine says, with the left leg being lower than the right one, shouldn't the foot also be a bit lower, or is the right leg still to be adjusted and made smaller? I don't know. Like, probably. But like, honestly, guys, I don't care. I don't know. Maybe it's just laziness. But it's sort of like what I was saying earlier. Like, does it really make that much of a difference? Sometimes it does. And maybe I've been working on it so long that I'm not seeing that. So that's where I need to take some time away from the piece and see if that's the case. But for now, I'm leaving it just because there's so many other things that I need to work on. And so, while yes, maybe that's something I do need to work on, I feel that there's so many other things right now that are like a bigger problem. And so that's where you guys will hear me use that phrase, where's the emergency? Like, what is the part of the sculpture that really needs work? Because, you know, ultimately everything you're doing needs work. Oh, and this part of the scapula is sticking out. Should just add a little piece there. I just want it to be a little bit more pronounced, like that's sort of the upper section of the scapula. Scapula is getting a little mushy. I don't know. I'll come back to it. I still feel like there are other parts that need more work. More squinting. I'm trying to figure out this face. I think it might not be wide enough. Let me check the front view. Oh, it's not wide enough here and it's too wide down here. Okay, so let me cut into here. So that way the lower section of the head is less wide. Yeah, oh my God, he's missing so much form. Okay, there we go. I'm adding his temporalis. That's a very thin muscle. It's above the zygomatic arch, which is your cheekbone. So we're giving him some more temporalis muscle. Oh, and this is too wide too. Oh man, because I didn't account for the chin coming in. See, it's like from this view, it looked fine, but from this view, it did not. That's the difference with the sizes. Oh, geez, and I think the ears don't line up either. Oh, well. My feeling about a lot of this stuff is I do feel that sometimes with art, there is such a thing as like caring too much, like caring so much that you actually end up stifling the process. And so I actually find, I mean, this is strange, but if I care less about my sculpture, I tend to do better. It's sort of like thinking too much. That's why I oftentimes I listen to music or I listen to a podcast and it just takes my mind off of it. I mean, I'll tell you, I feel like a lot of my life, I mean, not trying to sound super depressing, but a lot of my life is just trying to stay distracted so I don't get depressed. Because I do struggle with that. And I know a lot of people do. Where did that ear go? I think the ear, I think it went up. We need to fix that ear on this side. Got to get that right view. Oh yeah, what the heck? All right, we got to push that ear down. There. Oh, it's too forward too. Okay. It's too big. It's too big. It's too far forward, and it's too high. What else could go wrong? And maybe a little articulation here on that neck muscle. Yeah, I think too much trapezius. This is the trapezius. Oops, sorry. That's the trapezius. So I'm just going to move out of that area. Be like this. Is that better? Yeah, I'm sorry. The camera angle is not perfect. You guys should see the setup I have is wacko. The 2D stuff, it's so much easier because I just have my webcam on a mic stand and I just do like an aerial view and it's pretty straightforward. This is hard. Like I actually have, the camera is actually in between my hands and my arm is underneath the mic stand. It's weird. Like I have to try really hard not to move this hand. If I move it too high up, I'm going to bump the mic stand. So it's uncomfortable. But the thing is, if I had the camera somewhere else, you wouldn't be able to see anything I was doing. So yeah, the angle is very strange. And I had to sit really low. Like I actually think next time I might raise the height of the sculpture because it's still a little bit low for me. And you do want to be ideally eye level with your sculpture. Because if you're not, you will be seeing the sculpture at a strange distortion, just that distorted angle. I gotta go back to the back view's going wonky. And I think it's, oh shoot, you guys. I think this one's too wide. Ah. All right, let's just do it. I know. Oh, you guys, I totally messed that up. It's, oh my God, how did I do that? It's so off. See, like, this is one of those things. Sometimes people don't want to change that because it's like, oh man, I work so hard. But it's like, it's just going to bother me. I just know. Oh man, so this whole thing needs to come in. Oh my God. I'm shaving off like a 1/4 of an inch. Oh, but it looks better though. Sheesh, how did I, you know what? Maybe I built it up too much and then I wasn't like keeping track of it. Okay, that means that all has to come in. Oh, right, that's better. See, it's hard to make a change like this once you've worked on the sculpture for a while because you just feel like you're destroying everything. But it's like, that's a major proportional difference. Like that's not a small change. That's, oh shoot, now I took off too much. So while it feels awful to do that, I do think it's necessary. Shoot, I lost my scapula. I lost the plane. It's got to come back. That might be too much, but I don't want to lose my scapula. Oh man, I totally messed up this back. Now I got to really shave in. But you know what? It's necessary. It's like, I don't want to be in denial. Like, I don't want to look at this and just be like, oh, it's fine. It's not. It's not fine. Don't tell yourself it is. I mean, you can try. I've done it. I'm like, it's fine. It will be. No, it's not fine. Actually, I'm going to shave more on that side too. Oh man, it's like you think you're so close and you are not close. I was like 10 minutes ago thinking I was doing all right. And now I'm like, oh, the back was just suffering. I think maybe I spent too much time on the other sections. And I think the back just slowly like fell apart while I was working on the other sections. Oh my God. I basically just like redid the whole back. That did not feel good. But I'm glad I did it. Sometimes it's better. Just get in there, suck it up, just do the work, even if it doesn't feel good. I've definitely done that where I'm like, it's fine. I'm like, this will take care of this. And I worked hard. It's like, you know, when you're in denial as an artist. Yeah, I know the angle you guys are looking at it, it's very weird. I'll show it to you in the Discord and you'll see an image that's not so wonky looking. Samaritan says, I lost my scapula sounds so wrong if there was no context. Oh, guys, I have said stuff at RISD that taken out of context, not cool. I'm not going to repeat it to you because it's going to get us demonetized. Oh, get more of that plane. That's better. I still feel. Rory says, it looks amazing. The raw cuts even make a nice consistent style. Yeah, some of them I might leave. Some of them I think are a little bit too dramatic, but I think you have to be willing to do that. I think if you guys do too much work with your hands, this particular clay, it gets very mushy. It really starts to look like tapioca. And I don't like that. Oh, a little bit more. Just a little bit more. Please. And Ananin says, I can only seem to create if I listen to music. It's like I need music to channel what I'm trying to do into the art. The only person I know who doesn't listen to music when they make work is Kathy Speranza. I don't know how you can do that. Sometimes I will, but it's more out of laziness, which is so dumb because I'm too lazy to pick a playlist. But she says that she very much cannot do it. Oh, we have some ribcage action here. You guys, look at this. See that? Ribcage, yay! Oh, I'm so happy. I'm seeing the ribcage. I love the ribcage. It's like my favorite form of the human figure. It's just so beautiful. Oh, actually, I like the neck. The neck is one of my favorite parts too. Okay, we got to do the hands, guys. I've been putting them off. Oh, wait. I got to do the arms. Because you know what? This muscle here, brachioradialis, we have not gone over it, but it's important. It's probably, for me, the most important muscle on the arm because all the muscles down here, they just get so complicated. It's like extensor muscles and all this crap. And I just feel like this is the one that really shows up. Like down here, it gets very thin. Yeah, and here too, I think I got to take away some more. And I do want to show there's like a little bit of an extensor muscle that comes in here. So I'm going to cut this out. So that's what I mean by subdivision. It's like we had a form here, but within that form, I cut out this little piece of a muscle. So that way it has, that might be a little more detailed than I'd like it to be, but that's okay. Okay, and then this arm, I think a little more brachioradialis would be nice. Maybe here. And then, oh, I gotta see, maybe this is a little bit thinner. I'm not sure. I gotta take a look at the side view. Is that thinner? Nah, it's okay. I think maybe a tiny bit just to make it look a little more bony. Like that. Yeah, that's better. And then, oh, I need an undercut here. You guys see this? That undercut to really get the butt to like sit. And actually, you can see the genitalia, but I'm not going to add it because, oh, I don't think I can get in there. Actually, I lost my tensor fascia lata. I love my tensor fascia lata. Anytime I can put it in, I will. Oh, wait, it's a little rounder. Oh, wait. I lost my latissimus dorsi. I need it back. There it is. Look at that. Yeah, that's better. Okay, I promise. I really am going to do that. I said that like 15 minutes ago, and here we are. Lisa says, Popeye forearms are cool. I have fettuccine forearms. Well, mine are like linguine or like angel hair. It's more like it. Although, you know something, whenever I hear the word noodle, it makes me think of Lauren and her arms because she always tells me, she's like, I have such noodly arms. No, I can't remember the last time I saw any of the teaching artists in real life. I mean, the last time I saw Kat was when she graduated RISD, and that was almost 2 years ago. Geez, I don't remember the last time I saw Lauren or Deepti. It's probably at least a few years. I don't think I saw Jordan. I don't think I've seen Jordan since he graduated, which is a while ago, which is insane. But we all know each other pretty well. Although, as you guys know, some of them have never met in person. Like Jordan's only met Kat and me. He's never met Lauren or anybody else in real life. Oh, I need more of this undercut. There we go. Is that better? Oh, you know what's weird? I'm actually going to cut the butt more like this. You see this? So now I'm going to have the butt like slanting. Oh, that's kind of cool. I sort of like that. Because yeah, the gravity of my figure, it's not the same as the Mapplethorpe. It's tilting back. Oh, and that, you know something? Now oh, wait. Maybe I actually have space for a heel now. Maybe I should add a little bit more. Like that. Sergio says, now I cannot unsee the fact that there are male parts in the reference photos. You know what's cool though? I don't think YouTube saw. I think YouTube didn't see them because they're sort of hidden in the photo. So because we didn't get slapped with a ad suitability restriction. Thank goodness. Although, you know, I once posted a thumbnail for an upcoming stream, and it was a painting that Alex Rhode did. And I get this email and they're like, we removed your thumbnail because it violates our terms. And I'm like, what? I'm like, this is a painting of a mountain. And so I went back and I looked at the thumbnail and I realized really quickly, I was like, oh, there's like a snake monster at the bottom of the canyon. And that's why I think YouTube thought that it was a male body part. It's like, oh my God. Oh, and there was another time we were talking about colors. I think Alex Rowe was talking about Van Dyke Brown, and YouTube didn't like that either. Although we've said that color in other streams and it was fine. There was just one time that we got flagged for that. It's hard. I mean, honestly, I would rather YouTube be more strict the way that they are than to not, because there's just so much bad stuff online. You know, people are like, they're taking it too far. And I'm like, yeah, but you know what? If that keeps some really bad stuff off the platform, I'm okay with that. That's fine with me. Because, wow, there are some parts of the internet that are not regulated, and it's scary. I don't like that. Oh, yeah, the heel is getting better. Oh, you guys, I'm feeling better about the sculpture now. Yeah, you know, I think the tilt of the butt was better. Oh, but this is bulging too much. Let's cut that a little bit more. I'm pretty sure YouTube is not a fan of rhymes with Booker. Booker's green. Lisa says, I like the tilt on the seat. Nice dynamic. Yeah, I like that too, because I wasn't really... The photo is very flat, you know, like that's a very flat surface. It's probably like a stool or something that the model's on, and this is helping a lot. And actually, I'm going to be able to make the feet pop a little more. You see how I added that little undercut? Well, I just want to keep going. I'm just having so much fun with this. This is so what I need right now. Oh my God, this foot is terrible. It's so bad. Crap. What the heck? What is that? Why is that heel so terrible? What did I do? Oh my God. Yeah, that's really bad, guys. You know what I'm going to do? I got to cut that one spot so I can access that. And actually, I'm getting a little bit of that plastic cup that I put underneath. So I got to be careful because I don't want that cup to like get in the way or show, because that's pretty ugly. Well, now it looks like he's sitting on a rock, which I think is weird. Like, there's so many naked persons sitting on a rock sculptures that happen in art school. And it's like, okay, fine, sit on a rock. That's okay. I'm cool with that. But why would you sit on a rock if you're naked? Like, why? Like, I would not want to put my bare butt on a rock. That's like the last place I would put my bare butt. Oh yeah, we really got to come down on this foot. The bend is not enough from that side. And let's really let those toes bend. Sheesh, the feet are so much less than I made them. I made them way, I gotta like cut this whole angle of the feet. Oh, now I lost all my toes. Shoot. Okay, now they look really dumb, but at least now they're not so bulgy. They were way too bulgy before. I think the feet are too big, but you know what? Whatever. You guys, if you stop caring about things, it's so much easier to be an artist. It's way easier. That's my tip. Just stop caring. All your problems as an artist will go away. They'll just disappear. Yeah, I gotta cut. I want that angle of those feet better. And I don't want the feet to be so like drawn in. But of course, like because I changed the angle, now I have to go in and like redo the toes. Is that better? It's a little bit better. Feet are so hard. I should do like a foot sculpture. Maybe that would be fun. You know, oh, that would be cool if we did, because next month I did schedule a draw along for me and Jordan. We're going to do legs and then we're going to do feet. I think it'd be fun to do like a foot sculpture. Don't you guys think that would be cool as like a follow-up to like the foot anatomy stream and the foot draw along? That would be really cool. I mean, maybe this is the anatomy class that I've always wanted to teach, which was to really incorporate sculpture into the process. Okay, hands, I promise. Laura's Art Basement says, what do you do with it when finished? Make a cast or take it apart? I could make a cast. I'm not going to because it's a big pain in the butt and silicone's expensive and I don't think I'm really going to do anything with this afterwards. But yeah, in theory, you could do that. But most of the time with plastiline, I just take it apart because, you know, I don't show in galleries with my sculpture work. I don't sell it. And in general, sculpture does not sell well. It's not really something that people purchase very much. Rory says, there's such an unreal intensity and focus in fine sculpting. Definitely need to get back into it. Yeah, I love it. I mean, I don't really like sculpting small. Like, I'm not really that good at it. Like, I have a friend who's really good at it, but it does help. Okay, hands, I promise we're going to do it. Let's just get back to that front view. Okay. Wait, no, that's not the front view. Here we go. Oh man, the front view is terrible. You can't see anything. Shoot, I might have to just like make this up. The front view, it's all in shadow. Sheesh. All right. Let's just, and actually the fingers sort of spread out a little more, so I'm going to add a little more form down there. I mean, I think the more important thing about a hand actually is the thumb. Like if you can get the thumb, the other fingers don't really matter that much, honestly. So just try to nail the thumb, like the angle of the thumb. Like I'm doing that right now. Make that a little more pronounced. And then maybe make these fingers pop a little bit more. And I'm going to try not to forget about the planes. So just show like, okay, here's the division of the thumb and the rest of the fingers. And that's how I think about it. The thumb really is its own universe. And then the other fingers are like a group. The thumb is like a rebel. It's like, I don't need you cool kids. Let's build up a little more form in here. So I need some backup on that thumb. Okay, and then here is sort of like the line of the knuckles. The knuckles are really helpful, guys. All right, so now I'm going to start. Let's make sure I do enough fingers this time. That looks so dumb. Okay, Let me look at this view. Okay, that's definitely helpful. Oh, and then look at this. The thumb comes like this way. Is that it? Oh, so it's like here. All right, and then this finger is longer, right? Oh, yeah. Okay, so look at the length of the fingers, because this is the longest one, right? Yeah, it is. And I'm not really going to try to sculpt every single finger. I just want to like suggest that there's more than a mitten, because the mitten only goes so far. Christoph says, years ago at RISD, Joanne Stryker taught a winter session class. We were both drawing the figure and sculpting in plastiline. That was an excellent course. Oh, yeah, that sounds awesome. I love that. Lisa says, feet and hands are bony. I want more articulation, which is hard in the scale. Oh, yes, it absolutely is. Sandrine says, can I post a link to one of my favorite sculptures? You can do that in the Discord. So we do have a channel, which is called Art World. And that's where you guys can post anything from art history, from the contemporary art world. And that's a great place to learn about new artists for those of you guys who are looking for inspiration. Okay, I think the middle finger is the longest one, is it? Sorry, I'm like bending down really low. You guys know what I look like. It's not that exciting. All right. I'm trying to get the plane. Like I really want, I want the planes. So I'm trying to get rid of those like drawn lines that I did. I'm trying to get more into the planes. And I want to articulate more of the knuckles up here. So like those drawn lines, you don't want to keep them. They're there in the beginning, but then you got to get rid of them. So like that's more of a plane of a finger. I mean, this is where if you guys have hard plastiline, this is much better. And doing something this detailed is hard in ceramic clay. It's really hard because the ceramic clay is just so mushy. This is pretty stiff. And so making these little details, I'm not saying it's easy, but it's easier than if you were using clay that was very mushy. Let's try to divide these. I really don't want to lose the angles of the fingers. And then the pinky is like really short. Geez, it's all the way back here. Get that three-dimensionality. Yeah, I never got to teach sculpture at RISD. No, I don't think I ever taught a 3D class at RISD. It was all drawing. Yeah, I taught 3D when I was teaching at Lesley University. I taught a perceptual sculpture class, and I also taught a advanced figure sculpture class, but that was it. And I was only at Lesley University for like, I don't know, like 2 years. I wasn't there for very long, because then I got a full-time position at School and Museum of Fine Arts, but it was a visiting position. It wasn't tenure track or anything like that. Oh, it looks really bad. Oh, geez. I think I got it. Oh, I need the angle. The angles are all wrong. Oh, geez. And, oh, you know what I need? I got to cut in. Because I need the knuckles to stand out more. They're not standing out. I definitely need planes here. Oh, please give me some planes. But the planes are so small. They're really hard to do on the scale. I might just keep them sort of painterly like that. Maybe it's not painterly. Maybe in sculpture, it's sculpturally. Maybe that's the word. You guys probably hear me saying painterly all the time. It's like one of my favorite words. I love painterly stuff. Okay, maybe I need to like put this plane back in the hand. Will that help? If I just like cut that plane open. I feel like I'm making hot dog fingers. You know, it's like they don't have that grace that I'm looking for. Not exactly Rodin-like. Although Rodin was a jerk, wasn't he? I can't remember. I just feel like every month there's another story about, yep, he was horrible. Lucien Freud was gross. So was Gauguin. It just never ends. Anonin says, Gian Lorenzo Bernini's sculptures never cease to amaze me. Oh God, you guys, Bernini! If you go to Italy and you see, there's like, first of all, there's a Bernini sculpture on like every corner. They're everywhere. And like he's got this obelisk in Rome that's really cool. But anyway, if you guys go to Rome, there is a bridge called Ponte Castellangelo, and it's all these Bernini angels. They're beautiful. But where you guys really need to go, if you want to see great Bernini, is, what is it? Doria Pamphili? I think it's Villa Doria Pamphili. And it's sort of off the beaten path a little bit, but it's where the Persephone sculpture is and the Apollo and Daphne sculpture. Oh my God. Oh. How can you make flesh look like that in marble? I don't understand. Like how... Screw you, Bernini. You make me mad. I think this is too wide. Oh, you guys, these hands are not good. They look really bad. I think it's too wide. Oh, but then I have to like carve around it to make more of a foot. But maybe that will help. I don't know. Maybe it got too big. I'm going to do the other hand. Maybe that'll give me a little bit time away from that one. Oh, I can't even see it from the front view. I have to go to the side view. Is that? Yeah, that's better. Okay. Guys, these hands are really bothering me. I mean, maybe what I'll try to do is a less anatomically correct version. And I'll try to like show the fundamentals of the hand, like a more suggestive, because they're so small. I'm just really having a hard time getting them to work for that reason. Like I'm just not good at doing small things. I like big muscular artworks. Okay, so see this? This is the plane. You guys, you know who has nice hands? Michael Fassbender. I love his hands. Oh, he's got nice hands. I know this because he's in my hand stream where I talked about anatomy. So I looked at all these pictures of his hands. Oh, they're nice hands. Although, you know what's funny is because I taught college for so long, you know, Michael Fassbender would come up. Like, my college students be like, Clara, he's an old crusty man. I'm like, listen, I can't be into men who are younger than me. It's a little gross. Like, I just don't want to. God's Little Artist says, do you ever think the style in Rome will ever make a comeback, or was it meant for that time? I think it was meant for that time. Well, because you do see people sometimes in the ateliers or That's where I've tended to see it, or in smaller painting communities where people have this mindset that, oh, the only great art that was ever made was in the Renaissance and everything since then has been crap. And I just don't think it's that black and white, you guys. I think that that's fine if you want to love that work of that era. I mean, I do. But if you think about it, all art is a reaction to its time. I mean, think about the whole Beeple thing. All the memes, the images. I mean, he had all these political figures that were in there. That's all part of our time period. Memes are a part of our time period. And probably in about, I don't know, give it like 5 years, it'll be out of date. You know, it's like, sure, there's artwork that really is timeless. It fits and makes sense to people. Not that it fits, but it makes sense to people even outside of its context. Like I would say Kathy Kollwitz is one of those people. You don't need to have grown up in Germany in the 1940s to sympathize with that work. Her work is all about basic human themes like war and family and all that stuff. So that work is always applicable for people, no matter what. But it's like, you have to think about that style of the Renaissance or wherever, it evolved for a reason. Think about Baroque painting, okay? Baroque painting was a reaction to the Renaissance. So was Mannerism. People painted that way because they were not doing that stuff earlier, and then all of a sudden they were. Or you think about ancient Greece and ancient Rome, and okay, why were they making images like that? There was a reason. It wasn't random. Okay, that hand is better. I do not like the other hand. It's so bad. I'm going to take another stab at that. Yeah, Sankei says Edward Hopper is pretty relevant even today. If you think about it, the whole thing about urban isolation, which is a major theme in Edward Hopper, is very relevant today. I mean, think about how during the pandemic, so many people have been alone and without their friends and family. And you think about, yes, I mean, Edward Hopper was doing that in reaction to what was happening in the cities, the urban development in the 1950s and the 1960s, but it makes sense to us today. So yeah, like I'm not for, well, I love the Renaissance, so I think I'm going to copy it. I don't think that's a good idea because it's not really what that time period was about. And also, what people think is, quote, beautiful, it changes so dramatically. Oh my God. Like during Peter Paul Rubens, they thought that women who were very large, they thought that was beautiful. I mean, that's not the case today in the US. They thought that the larger the figure, the more well-fed you looked. And so therefore you were rich. And that was a sign of wealth back then. And nowadays it's more about, for the most part, the media tries to promote people who are very thin. I mean, it depends on where you're going. But in general, that tends to be the mainstay of a lot of media. I think I have this figured out. I think I had the shape all funky. And I'm trying to get like more of a plane, and I think I lost the, what's it called? Knuckles. I just want to get like the direction of it. Like I'm not that worried about the fingers, but I want the overall shape to show. It looks better on this side. I feel like the front side, it just looks really bad. Yeah. And I do want the length of the fingers to be very clear. So like, which finger? I think the middle finger is longer. I got to take another look at that. Sketch Pause is asking, is it bad that I mix the Renaissance art with modern art into my paintings? I mean, Sketch Pause, I don't think anything is inherently bad. I think you have to consider, okay, well, what am I trying to say? Why am I using these images? And are they really effective in terms of delivering my message? And what that message is, I don't know what it is, but think about it. Or am I just putting it there as eye candy? And again, it depends on who you are. Like some people really just want to make pretty pictures, and that's fine. That's not what I want to do, but that's me. That's my personal preference. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, good. I do have the right number of fingers. Let's see. Oh, but this finger is like gone. Shoot, that finger like disappeared. Oh, it's so like I feel like I'm wearing size 30 shoes and trying to bumble around. The undercuts here are not good either. Yeah, I gotta go back in and do a lot of cleanup there. It's getting there. It's still not great, but I do feel like I'm starting to get the angles, starting to. Yeah, that's a little better. It's getting there. Slowly, slowly. I just don't want to like totally ignore this because it would really not work so well. Yeah, that's a little bit better. I'm just going to try to trim some of the fingers so that they aren't so mushy. Leakin says, so different, even a bit weird to see Prof Lieu so focused on details. I know I'm not usually a very detailed, and this is not even that detailed, you guys. Like, I have seen detailed sculptures, and this is not detailed. This is like barbarian sculpture compared to what I've seen other people do. I mean, especially like if you look at people who do like miniature models, or I mean, those people are serious about this. I am not one of those people for sure. I'm just trying to clean this up. Yeah, see, I don't like these like lines that I drew in. I mean, those are necessary. You got to put them in to begin with, but I got to get rid of them because they look so bad. And that's where this tool is great. Oh, I think. Oh, the knuckle. Oh, I think the knuckle goes up here. Oh, it's the angle of the. It's the angle of the pinky, I think is what I was missing. Oh, and I'm losing the bone up here too. Sheesh. Oh, you guys. I think the hands are too big now. All right. We need to do a little more plain stuff here. A little more knuckle action. And maybe a little bit of metacarpals. Not a lot. But just something to show that. I know I'm not a detailed person at all. Like, I look at people that can do detail really well, and I don't know if I just don't have patience. I'm just making an excuse for not wanting to do something. But yeah, it's just not my thing. And like, Kat is so good at details. Her comics are like extraordinary. I don't know. It's like the more I work on this, the more I see like, everything's wrong. And by the way, I'm not even looking at the reference photos. Like, I've stopped. Just totally stopped entirely. Because they're not helping me. I'm just trying to evaluate what the anatomy looks like right now. I'm getting there, but my marks are getting really picky. Is that how? I'm trying to look at my own hands a little bit. I think the thumb got gigantic. I think because I was cutting back on some of the other things, I lost a little bit of the thumb in the process. Yeah, I'm done looking at the photos, guys. I don't need them anymore. Oh, and I gotta put more of an angle. Is that? Yeah, because the pinky is like, is it behind? Yeah, it's like lower down. Like this. It's more of an angle. And oh, this too. Look at this. Oh, that's better. Oh, I need planes. I just lost all my planes. Oh, and they're too mushy. Come on, come on. Please, I'm begging you. Show planes. Oh, God. Guys, they look like sausages. Let me see. Okay, so each finger has its own plane. Okay, ready? Look. That's a plane. That's a plane. That's a plane. And that's a plane. Oh, much better. Now this finger is too big. It's the planes. I didn't have planes on my fingers. And I was trying to group the planes. I shouldn't have done that. I needed to give each finger its own plane. That's what I was not doing earlier. I'm going to push that plane down, and that means I'm also going to push the pinky down like that. Okay. That's better. I still don't like this finger, but I got to move on to the other one. Okay, let's do what we did to the other hand, which was create those individual planes for the figures. Each finger, sorry. Okay, I'm going to push that pinky back like that. So it has its own plane. That's what it is. See, you guys, planes are everything. Planes make the difference on a hand. Can't think about it in terms of fingers. The planes are what gonna do that. Is that there? I think these hands are way too big. But it's better than it was. I think it was really a mess earlier because I was not thinking about that. Okay. Yeah, now that made the hand a little less wide. It brought the pinky up, which I needed for sure. And now I gotta like really cut. Oh my God. They're so mushy. Come on. And now I only have 4 fingers. Shoot. Let's make another one. Oh God, you guys, this hand is killing me. Maybe this ribbon tool will help me. I gotta stay focused on these knuckles because they're my only chance to get out of here alive. Oh, there goes the thumb. Let's bring that back. Great, now the thumb looks like an ice cream cone. Oh. All right. It's a matter of pushing these back and articulating the edge of that finger. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. We're going to make the thumb way smaller. And I think that might be as far as this sculptor is going to go for me. I don't want it to look so large. It just looks way too large. So let's just cut back on the foot. Make the foot more flat, more of a plane. And a little bit more on the toe. I might do a little bit more off camera later. Fix up that hand because it's definitely like not where it could be. God's Little Artist says, what's your favorite media? I honestly do not have one. I really like them for different reasons. I mean, I would say my least favorite one, and not because I don't like it. Well, that doesn't really give a good answer to your question. I really like painting, but I don't like painting. Like I love the material and I think other people do great work, but I don't think I'm a very good painter. And that's always made me feel kind of crappy about myself. So for that reason, it's not my favorite material, but I do like it. I do like what my friends make. I do like what Lauren makes. But my own paintings, not so much. All right, guys, please join me in the Art Prof Discord. I will be hanging out in the Art Alongs channel. The invite link is in the YouTube video description below. Subscribe to the Art Prof YouTube channel so you can continue to grow and develop as an artist. And I want to give a big thank you to our top Patreon supporters. You guys make it possible for Art Prof to stay up and running. And when you contribute to Art Prof, you are helping somebody in the world have access to art classes who normally would not have that access. And that's so important, I think. Providing access to art education is so important. So everybody, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.